Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. My name is Alan Smason, and again, I'm welcoming you to watch this every time we broadcast. We broadcast on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, which is our social media page for theatercriticism.com, the pages that are used to write reviews, but this is actually the page on Facebook we use to promote those once we have a review to put up. And also, of course, on my own YouTube channel. We hope that you'll check it out on either of those places. And people ask, why do you have on three different spots? Well, first off, if you're a member of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, you get this automatically sent to you. But if you're not a member of that group, you don't want to be a member of another group. My goodness, I don't want to be in another group. As Groucho Marx said, I don't want to be in a group that would have me as a member. We can also invite you to be on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, which is, if you're on Facebook, you can see it and you don't have to be committed. Or if you want to watch it either at the time that it's showing on YouTube or after it's archived on YouTube, you can see it there. So you have a choice, and that way you don't have to be on Facebook or any other social media and watch it at your own leisure. But hopefully you get a chance to see the shows that we're doing. Again, we've been doing this since April the 1st, a big April Fool's joke on me, back in 2020 when the pandemic started. And we've been doing it pretty much on a regular basis on Mondays and Fridays during the pandemic. And once theaters reopened, we kept it on Mondays because that's a traditional night when theater is dark and when a lot of actors can join us. So we're glad to have anybody and everybody out there right now. So tonight, we are very pleased to have two of the leads from Jesus Christ Superstar, which is going to be presented at the Jefferson Performing Arts Society coming up on March the 14th through the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. Again, the idea being that they're going to have it on 2 weekends, as they normally do. Now, as I recall, the first weekend, they're not going to have a Saturday night show. And on the second weekend, they're not going to have a Friday night show. So we'll go over the dates later, but keep that in mind. But it's coming up very soon, and we wanted to alert you to that. And we know, of course, we wanted to bring in these two wonderful stars who are actually international celebrities because they're coming all the way from Germany. But I would like to mention the fact that one of them actually knows New Orleans very well because he was a New Orleans native. And let me bring in the person who plays Jesus, Michael Moore. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
And again, you are from New Orleans, correct?
Oh, that's right. I definitely am.
So where did you go to school in New Orleans? Can you tell a little bit about your background?
The most important question. Yeah, of course. I went to St. Martin's High School, and I was there 1st grade through 12th grade. And then in high school, I also went to NOCA for the creative arts, for music theater, and went there half day as well.
So, Harry Connick Jr. was there he was one of the first people to start the half days at NOCA, et cetera. And of course, Wendell Pierce went to NOCA and a number of other people. Were there any famous people that came out of your years as well that you know?
Oh, well, we had Josh Smith was my year, who did Book of Mormon on Broadway. We had Bruce Landry was 1 year ahead of me, who's on Broadway right now in a comedian harmonist musical.
Oh, well, that Harmony, that closed, unfortunately, but he's very good. I love that show.
Yeah,
and we'll talk maybe a little bit about that. Yeah. And again, the person who's going to be playing Mary Magdalene, very well, because she is not only, I guess what was her maiden name was what? Last name?
Kuhn. Her maiden name is Kuhn, and that's still her artist name. But legally, we do share a name.
And that's Nadine Moore, right? So Nadine, we're going to call you Nadine Moore. We're not going to go with your legal name because this is theater after all, and it's the imagination that's important.
All right.
So Nadine and you met on the stage. Which show was it?
We did.
It was in the year. Oh,
go ahead.
No, you go for it.
Shooting it out of my hip. But I should let you answer. When did we meet and where, Michael?
Oh, that's right. Now it's a test. It was the European tour of Hair is when we met in 2016.
European tour of Hair, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you've given me a couple of photos, etc. I might be able to find one of those pictures that actually translates into that. Would that be that one?
Yes.
So there you are. Now, what were you wearing? A wig, Nadine?
Yes, I'm wearing a very wild blonde wig. to all the way to
That's
the left.
right. Nadine
Okay.
played Jeannie, who's pregnant in the musical, so that's why she has a little belly there as well. And I'm all
Okay.
the way off on the right side, looking like a real wild man.
You are on the right side. I see you.
With good hair, though.
Again, as I explained to everybody, we always have drinks that we bring into the room because this started in the pandemic and we need them very, very much at that time. But I continue it, and for your benefit tonight, I made myself, or for you to enjoy while I drink it. This is a Negroni. Y'all know what a Negroni is?
Very fancy.
All right, so Negroni is equal parts, 3 parts of gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth, and shake it over ice. And then you usually take a little piece of orange or something. You have a little zest of oranges. I've got it here.
That's right.
And that complements it. There you go. And again, I believe a drink that was made back in the 1920s and named after, if I'm not mistaken, an Italian count. Don't ask me why, but it was, I believe, made in Paris first. So, we go with that. So, Michael, what did you bring in that was as special as my Negroni?
This is at least as special as a Negroni. No, I don't think I took as much time with my drink as yours, but it is also 3 parts. Since I'm in the middle of not in the middle, but I'm coming to the end of an 8-show work week over here. It's 1 part water, 1 part honey, and 1 part bio agave cinnamon nectar. We'll add a little something extra.
A little natural hint there of good things for you. And Nadine, I'm sure you brought something just as well for you, right? You're working as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And this is my guilty pleasure. I drink it all the time. It's super unhealthy, but it's a vanilla Coke Zero. It has everything that you shouldn't drink, and I love it, and I drink it all the time. And I know I don't even get any money from making this advertisement here right now, but I really love that drink. I'm drinking it all the time.
All right. Well, enjoy your drinks while we're talking. Just, feel free. So again, I'm delighted to have you tonight. We're going to go through a little bit of your careers, I guess, through the years, but we're also going to talk a little bit about Jesus Christ Superstar, because this is a show that you have done before, and you did it in German, I assume, or did you do it in English?
Oh, we did it in English, actually.
Oh,
We
okay.
did it in Austria.
Interesting. So when you do a show like this in Austria or Germany, and you do it in English, do they have super titles for the explanation as to what it was, or the translation?
It depends on the show. Sometimes there are subtitles, but usually or very often not. And Jesus Christ Superstar is a very well-known show, so people, the story is very well known in general.
I'd imagine so.
People also know the music very well, and I think they're pretty fine just listening to it. But there are also versions in German, which I actually never saw.
Really?
Wasn't the one that we saw this summer in German, Nadine? Wasn't it?
I would say no, but I cannot remember. Wow.
I think it was. We saw a production at Bad Hersfeld this past summer, and I'm pretty sure it was the German translation.
Well, I'm sure it must have passed muster with Tim Rice if that were the case, right? So there you go.
Yeah, but since Superstar is a musical that became famous from the music, from the releasing of the cast album, I think most people are quite happy to hear it in English.
So you all have been married how long now?
We've been married for 3 years.
This is not a test.
These questions are actually good.
I didn't ask his anniversary now. That would be a test. But
actually, we are married for 3.5 years now. And in 30 minutes, we are dating and together for 8 years.
That's true. Oh. That's right. We're gonna be with you while it turns midnight here in Germany, and that's our first date anniversary.
Wow, and she remembers, so you better not forget that date either. So, Michael, you've been living in Germany for a while. We'll get to Jesus Christ Superstar in a second, but I want to get a little bit more background for you. Having been a transplant from the United States, what brought you to Germany? First off, was it just one career opportunity and you decided to stay, or what?
Yeah, it was one career opportunity and one girl. I came over I auditioned for this tour of Hair in New York. Uh, they brought over the entire cast from New York, actually, which was pretty cool. Almost the entire cast. So for me, that was the job of a lifetime. Oh, they're gonna pay me to go tour around Europe and do Hair, which is a musical that I really love. So of course, I was happy to do that. And there was only one German in the production, which was Nadine Kuhn, who was playing our genie. Uh, so that was what brought me over there for the first time. Uh, and I ended up working for that touring company several more times through the years, and Nadine was able to work with me, so we were able to continue getting to spend time together. And in 2018, a couple years later, I decided to make the move more permanent.
I got you. And I guess you've already given the cast director for Hair all your undying thanks for that, right?
Absolutely.
Without that man, you'd probably not be together. But anyway, and Nadine, when you were in Hair, I'm just going to ask. I mean, did he stand out? Was it something? I want to say love at first sight, but did he make his intentions known that he was interested at that point, or did that sort of come along a little bit later?
So I heard later that he said at the airport before they all flew over, because he saw the cast list and all the pictures. And apparently he said to the people, to the cast that flew over, wow, he showed my picture and he was like, this is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I'm going to marry her. And everyone was like, ha, 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 ha. And I was terrified in Germany. I was like, this tour is like, they're just Americans. I hope they can understand me. I hope I speak English enough. And I was very nervous. And I met all of them. They were super sweet, super nice. And then I met Michael for the first time. And I loved how he was like so warm, so funny, so cute. And he was sitting in front of me because we were at the same table. And he learned his first word, his first German word. And he said, is that correct? And he said strawberry. He said Erdbeere. And I was like, this is so cute. And I think ever since then, I was like, he is so adorable. And then he made move after move after move. And I loved that. And I was into it.
So that's a wonderful story. And again, the fact that you all are able to be together, I guess I should get into how, before we get to your career and go through some of the past that you've done, how did they approach you? Who approached you? Was it Dennis Asaf, or was it one of the other members of the JPAS group that actually approached you about working?
That was actually director Kenny Beck, who is a friend of mine for many years, was a mentor for me when I was living in New Orleans, when I was in high school. He taught me how to tap dance. I took ballet class with him and his wife. And I always looked up to him and admired him. And I love the way that he works. He's always so thorough when he's putting up a show, and he directed many shows that I was in when I was in high school. And he even took me to New York. The first time I was ever in New York, took me to see my first Broadway show, which was Billy Elliot.
Wow.
And also took me to see Mary Poppins. And he reached out to me last year and said, hey, we're going to do Jesus Christ Superstar next year. Is there any chance that you and Nadine would be available? Would you be willing to send in an audition? And I said, for Jesus Christ Superstar, we'll try to make that work.
Yes. And you know, the national tour just played at the Sanger not that long ago. So, you know, to put on a show in the same time, that you're lucky you were able to do it to a certain extent, because, you know, when the national tour plays in an area, they don't usually let you do a lot of shows, especially ahead of time. They might let you do it after the fact, but they don't want to take any potential audience members away. So, you know, I'm delighted that they came first, because there's a possibility something like this could have fouled up the works for you and make you wait till next year. So it's a good thing.
I'm very grateful for that. Yes.
So, and Nadine, have you done Mary Magdalene before? Have you performed this role?
Well, when we played the show in Austria, I was actually a soul girl and the cover for that position. So it was also a short little run. It was beautiful. We had a lot of fun. Michael played Judas in that production, and I was a soul girl with a cover. And now we have other roles. So that's very, very great. And we are super excited.
So it's got to be an interesting challenge, I guess, to know another role. Did you understudy Mary? Was that your understudy role? So you knew the role. But Michael, you having done Judas, that's a different role than what you're going to do now. So you got to learn all different lines, etc., and know when to come in at different times.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a struggle for me because the Judas material has always been in my back pocket, and I've used it for auditions for years because I love to sing it. So it's sometimes when I'm going through the show, I just start getting into it, and during the fight scene, I'm singing both parts, and I really shouldn't do that because it's bad for the muscle memory. So I try to make myself really focus on Jesus.
Well,
It's
now,
definitely a very, very different perspective.
and knowing the I mean, I had the original. Well, I will tell you right now, I have. If you wait a second, I'll pull it up. There it is. This is the original CD. You've probably never seen this. This came out of England. Okay, this is what Jesus Christ Superstar looked like when it first came out on compact disc. It was a 2 CD set, and it came out on Decca Records. I had the original on the brown cover that everybody knows and loves. That was on record album, but of course, as we all know, and unfortunately, many of have experienced due to Hurricane Katrina, I lost my entire record collection with but a few exceptions. So many of the records that I had, and of course, it was even more worse for me because most of the records I had came from my family's record store, which was, you don't remember it because you're much too young, but Smith's Records was a very famous record store in New Orleans. We used to sell classical and opera, but we also did quite a bit of business nationwide for Broadway show tunes, original cast shows, and soundtracks as well for movies, etc. And so people all around the country used to shop from us. We had a wonderful mail order business, and
Wow.
so unfortunately, many of those records, which were first pressings that were given to us for promotional copies, I wasn't able
That's
to really,
incredible.
I wasn't
Yeah.
able to, I wasn't able to use that to say these are much more valuable because they're first pressings. The record companies gave them to me, so therefore the insurance company said, "Oh, well, they're given to you. They're gifts. They have no value." So you can't replace that. No. So
No.
anyway, so again, but this was the original brown cover. If you remember, the 2 record album was the first quote unquote rock opera. I know that they had a couple of others that came out. Tommy, but Tommy was not really the same thing as an opera. I mean, it really was a tour de force for the Who, but you didn't hear a lot of different voices in the same fashion as an opera, as Jesus Christ Superstar. It was a different kind of approach. This was really more of a true operatic kind of, but it was a rock vehicle. There was no doubt about it. They were using rock,
Absolutely.
and of course, and when you do Judas, I'm certain that you would say probably that Judas is probably very soulful in his intent, in his approach to the music. It's got a lot more. Not just because it was done originally by somebody of color, but he is very, very expressive, and Jesus sort of is a little bit more laid back, isn't he, than what Judas is?
Yeah, with the way that I've been putting it is, Judas just lives in the stratosphere. He's wearing his heart on his sleeve all the time. It's just constant. You constantly feel the emotion. Like, so I see what you say when you say it's more soulful. It's true. Judas lives in this place and finds all these colors vocally up in the high range, and that's why I love to play that role as well, because there's just every range of color to find there. Jesus is exploring more of his range, and I would say, like, Jesus lives on a high G. He uses the lower part of his range. He uses different parts of his range to teach, because he has different he has different goals than Judas does during the show. And even though each character is kind of bargaining for the thing that they want, Jesus doesn't really bargain until Gethsemane.
Right. Right.
And when he begins to bargain, that's when he starts to hit
Right.
that range that you also see in Judas's
Right.
role. But until then, he has different things he's trying to achieve and different motives. So there's a lot more. There are very different colors in Jesus when he sings, and it is laid back, but you also have to be ready at any point to suddenly pop up into the stratosphere,
Right.
because he has those moments like in the temple or when he's healing the lepers, where it kind of comes out of nowhere. So
Mhm.
Judas is definitely vocally a stamina game, but Jesus definitely has its own challenges. So it's been fun figuring that out.
Nadine, as far as Mary goes, you say this will be the first time you're tackling the role. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're going to approach Mary and what you kind of keep in the back of your mind about her?
I have to say, I find it very interesting and very strong that I get the chance to do that with my husband. So with a person I really love, which makes it, of course, as an actress, you always have to work and always figure out and build a relationship to your partner that you work with. But if you have this naturally already, I wonder how hard it will be seeing him in like really tough situations, seeing him with blood all over. And I think then you have to find a different level that it doesn't get too deep to you. And that is a very big challenge. And I'm very excited about that. I love that Mary trusts him like she trusts Jesus 100%. She would never question any of his decisions, even though she sees it's going wrong. And I'm very, very deeply excited and a little scared of, could we start again, please? Because this is such a strong moment in the show when she realizes, oh my gosh, did we go too far here? Did you go too far? Is this the right path? But she still trusts him. And this is what he wants. And what he said, it's going to happen anyway. And she's not like Judas, who was like, you have to change this. She's like, if you're sure that you want to do this, or if you are sure that this is going to happen, I will follow you, but I'm deeply hurt because I love you, which I usually don't say to men. And that's something I really like try to figure out and put into the show.
I'm glad you brought up "Could We Start Again" because I wanted to make mention of one thing. If you look on this in the list of the songs that are on this, guess what song doesn't appear?
Ooh.
That was written for the movie "Could We Start Again." So you're actually singing a song that was done for the movie that was then incorporated into the musical after the fact.
I'm
So,
glad we made it in because I think it's a beautiful and a very
it's a really beautiful song, but a lot of people who are used to the original, rock opera that was done, the concept album, if you will, are somewhat surprised to hear them singing it on stage in the musical. But yeah, that happens quite a bit. When somebody does a film of a musical and then they take the song, because as you probably would guess, and probably it makes sense now, the Academy Awards, are always vying for the best song. But it has to be an original song written for the movie. So when Madonna was in Dick Tracy, she sang some songs that won Stephen Sondheim his Academy Award winning song, because he got that as an original song that was written for the movie. Other things could have been done Tony Award wise. Stephen Sondheim, of course, won, but that was the ones he won for that. And again, same thing in I believe Evita. There was a song written for Madonna to sing in Evita that was not in the original Andrew Lloyd Webber Tim Rice piece. So again, it makes sense. And again, anybody who's a purist probably say, I don't think that belongs here, but I think it always belongs. It's there's nothing that can't stand a little bit of change to a musical. Yeah, if you want to go back to the original way, yeah, maybe not. But I think it always helps to add a little something to it. And people who saw the film first are going to be saying, where was that song? I remember it being in the movie. Why is it in the musical?
But I think it's very strong to have it in the musical because if it wouldn't be in, Mary Magdalene wouldn't say or express herself. She's so important at the beginning, and then at the end,
she basically leaves at the very beginning. You don't see her much again. That's it. So that's yeah.
That she can be like, I feel affected by this, and I'm still here, everyone. So yeah.
So again, you all are going to be here, and again, I think you start rehearsals on this Monday? Is that right? Coming up, March the 8th. Is that right? Not this
That's
coming
right.
Monday,
Yeah.
but the Monday of next, and then you open pretty soon thereafter on the 14th. So you got about 6 days or so. Is that right? I don't know when March the
Yeah.
8th is. I have to go back and check. March might be a
I
Friday.
think it's
I'm thinking of it.
a
Yeah,
Friday.
might be a
Yeah, we're
Friday. I'm
coming
thinking
in.
about. Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll be in on the 7th. We'll be in rehearsals already the night of the 7th. We fly in and we go right there. So yeah, we'll have exactly a week to get into a Sitzprobe,
Yes.
Sitzprobe, to get into tech and and learn the show. But the company has been great about outfitting us with all of the material that we need. We're getting videos daily from rehearsals. We're getting rehearsal tracks from our music director. So it's good. We're on top of it, but it's of course it is going to be a lot of work once we touch ground in
Yes.
America.
And for those who don't know what a Sitzprobe is, and I believe you pronounce it properly in German, but a Sitzprobe
Sorry,
in
yes.
the United States is when the first time that the orchestra actually appears. A lot of times, these musicals are done in such a way that the actors, they're singing without accompaniment, and they're singing the songs as best they can without knowing whether or not the orchestra is going to come in high or low or whatever. So it's really a revelation for them when the orchestra comes in for the first time and the conductor is conducting it, and they know whether or not they're going to slow down or make this passage fast. Because if you're doing something to and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're doing something to a canned piece of music, a music that's already recorded ahead of time, there's really no way for you to interpolate your voice as readily as if the orchestra knows, hey, he's going to hit this note. It's going to be a little bit higher as an interpolated note or whatever. Then, he wants to speed this up or slow this down so he can more
Yeah.
effectively sing. And the orchestra needs to know that. The conductor needs to know that. Whereas if you sing, you've got to be a slave to the tape, essentially, if you get a tape that you're having to do
Right.
this. So,
Well, they're not rehearsing with the tape. I mean, I am rehearsing with the tape over here, but for their rehearsals, they have a rehearsal pianist live. But it's still a totally different experience to have the orchestra there. There's there's just chords and nuances in the music that you're unaware of, but you hear the whole thing, and especially for Jesus Christ Superstar, which is beautifully orchestrated. We need to have that.
And I know every time I start, like the orchestra is playing something, like especially the opening number, I always get goosebumps. That music really kicks in. I think it's so well written, and the music is and especially at the end when you hear the first time, da, 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 then you're like, oh, it's happening. I'm so excited.
did any of you see the live on television version that they did? I don't know if you saw it. It was a couple of years back. John Legend,
Yes.
John Legend won his
Yeah.
Emmy award for that, as I'm not mistaken. But
That's
the
right.
little kid who played the opening, okay, that's guy. His name is Brandon Taz, rather, Brandon Taz Niedermeyer. And Taz, as they like to call him, is this child prodigy who started out. He's now, I think, 19. So he started out when he was like 9. Like, he's been around for a decade. My cousin Sydney's sort of his benefactor and patron, and introduced him to all these people, the Allman Brothers, and people like Dr. John and other people like that who were still alive at that time, played with him and when he was a kid. But he's been a pretty well-known kid. He was one of the kids who played in School of Rock. He played the guitarist in School of Rock on another Andrew Lloyd Webber vehicle, and probably the most noted. And so he's really talented. So I mentioned that because, the instrumentation on this is really important too. I mean, the voices are great, but the music that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote, between him and Tim Rice, of course, doing the lyrics. I mean, it's really superb. It's what brought him to be able to write the other shows that we know and love of him, Phantom of the Opera and what have you. I mean, if it weren't for Jesus Christ Superstar, some of the other shows that people, have come to know, Cats, etc., probably would not have existed. So, keep that in mind. So let me ask you, you've been working the material for a while. Let me ask Nadine first, of your songs that you're doing. You already mentioned, one song. Do you like any of the other songs a little better? Is there one that you like when you get to do it, or do they change every night when you're doing the songs? that you might like Everything's All Right Tonight, but maybe Can We Start Again Tomorrow? Does it matter? Are there some aspects of the show that you think are better some nights or whatever? What do just give me your thoughts on that.
I do love Could We Start Again, Please. I love it. It's beautiful. It's so emotional. I just really, really love it. But of course, I don't know how to love him when you start seeing that and you can really open up and really put all the feelings and emotions in. That is such a strong song. And of course, I'm super excited to do that as well. But I think every song has like its own little special like moment. And I think they're all really, really pretty. And even the songs that I'm not singing, I'm like super excited to hear every night.
And like Everything's All Right is a duet with Judas, is it not?
And with Jesus.
And with Jesus towards the end a little bit.
Yeah. So it's like a little,
yeah.
I don't want to say it's like a little battle situation, but it's like everyone's figuring out where they're standing. So that can be pretty spicy and pretty interesting.
And Michael, you have to sing the other part now with Everything's All Right. So
yes.
So how's that going for you?
Yeah, I'm, it's definitely interesting to find where Jesus is coming from, because I dived pretty deep into Judas's feelings of ill content, and these two men are friends when we start the show, and basically the divide happens from the moment the show starts. You have this deep insight into Judas's mind, with heaven on their minds. You don't get a deep insight into Jesus's mind until Gethsemane, which is in Act 2. So that's very different, and you do a little bit of working backwards with Jesus. It's been very interesting. Something that I think about a lot with Jesus is, I guess you can make the argument that maybe he's not, but the way that the show is written, it seems to be that he is at least slightly prescient of the fact that he will die. It's unavoidable on some level. Is he just very smart and he politically knows that that's what's going to happen? Maybe. To me, because this comes from the very first line that he says, don't you mind about the future, leave tomorrow for tomorrow, think about today instead. He wants to live in this moment because he already knows what's coming, and he reiterates that over and over and over again. It's weighing very heavily on him. So it's, of course, you can't directly play the intention of, oh God, I'm going to die all the time. It's this unsettling knowledge that has to kind of live in your body. And it's hard as Judas to see you're coming at Jesus all the time with things that you already talked to him about in the past. We should be using this money to feed the hungry. We shouldn't be drawing attention to ourselves. We're trying to build the people up from kind of the forgotten people, the left behind people, and it's very hard to see Jesus just not giving you anything back. Jesus is elsewhere. Jesus is focused on something else, and from Jesus's side, just this, no one understands where you're coming from because no one has the knowledge that you do.
So has Ken Beck actually been talking with you via emails or Zoom sessions? How do you all communicate, since you're in Germany and he's in the States, and there's always that time difference too? So how are you all communicating with one another and getting direction or notes in advance?
We do email, but we talk on the phone pretty often. We check in very regularly. And every time we call, we get into long, lengthy discussions about he's very open with me. He was very opening with me since we started talking about the show last August of, here's my idea for, here's the concept I have in mind. What are your thoughts? And that was very, very kind of him and very nice to be in on that level from the beginning. So yeah, we talk a lot.
I understand also from what he said ahead of time that the last version that we did of the national tour was a modernized set. but that he's going to be going back into biblical times. He's going to set it back in the biblical times because, the one thing about Jesus Christ Superstar that most people remember is they may have been wearing robes, et cetera, in the film and et cetera. But on stage on Broadway, they were like more modern characters. They were almost like out of hair, like you mentioned before. They were different than what you might have expected. So what is he doing, or is it a big surprise and a big reveal for us? I mean, to bring us back to biblical times.
I mean, to be honest, first of all, I have to say, I think it's almost like so much more amazing that it goes back to the old fashioned times, because it's been done so modern and so like cool and hip and black and white, with black clothes, white clothes, and hip hop clothes and whatever, like alternative stuff, and very, very modern and kind of like hippie style. It's been in so many different modernized styles that I'm kind of excited that it's back into the really, really old fashioned way, and that has its own special situations that you can bring out with this. And I think this is something that people didn't see for a long time. So I'm very, very excited. He shared some ideas that he had about the set and about very special moments. And I think it will be very, very strong. I don't know how much we can tell, actually.
Has he brought the frankincense and myrrh on the set yet, or no? I guess not.
We haven't been there, but you'll have to ask a current cast member who's there on the scene.
So again, I want to reiterate, this is going to be March the 14th is when it starts. Now, I think March the 14th is a Friday, but the Saturday they skip, okay, which would be the 15th. They go back on the 16th, if I'm not mistaken, and then then the next week they do Friday. Do they do Thursday? I think they just do Friday and Saturday, right?
I think it's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday, Saturday. Week. So they skip.
We tried to make it as confusing as possible.
Yeah. I know. They skip Friday the first week and they skip Saturday the second week. That's what I do remember that. So whatever they did the first week, they do opposite on the second. I don't know if they have another. I can't possibly have another show there, so I don't know. Why they wouldn't run the whole week, but again, whatever the scheduling reason is, it's going to happen. So again, I want people to know that the show is going to be going on, and we want everybody to get your if you want to pick up your tickets, jpas.org, and I'll put a banner up in a little bit to let people to remind them where it is, or the phone number is 504 885-2000. That's 504-885-2000. I have that memorized indelibly in my brain matter, so I know.
I love that.
So again, let me get we talked a little bit about the show, and I think we've pretty much done a lot to talk about Jesus Christ Superstar to promote it in advance. But I wanted to talk a little bit and give everybody a little bit more insight before we get back to the show about some of your careers. So I know you've got a incredible resume, both of you, and I know Nadine, I was really impressed. I said, what the heck name is this show? And it turns out it was Little Shop of Horrors, but I couldn't recognize it in German. You actually played Audrey, right?
Right. Yeah, Der kleine Hopperladen. That's what probably right. That's the Little Shop of Horrors in Germany.
What is that show? I've never recognized that show, but now, of course, I know it very well. Alan Menken and again Howard Ashman. Are you? Can you? I don't know if we have any pictures of you doing that. I know you sent a whole bunch of pictures, etc., but I don't see any.
Sorry, I don't have any Audrey pictures. Yes. I'm sorry, nah.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. He did send all the pictures, so I'm grateful.
But I have to tell you, I did get to see Tammy Blanchard play against Rob McClure as Seymour, and my friend Stuart Zagnett, who's a fairly well-known Broadway actor. He was just in Harmony with your friend. He was an understudy. He was understudy to Chip Zion, who, of course, was the lead as the rabbi. But Stuart was playing Mr. Mushnick, and it was great to see all of that play out on stage. And again, I was delighted. That was still during a little bit of the COVID era that they were putting that on. But I'm always amazed to see that show, because it's a little show, but it really lends itself to just a lot of fantastic work. And Christian Borle was in the show before he started Some Like It Hot, and I think if you really want to know the truth, I think I liked him better in Little Shop of Horrors, because he was so versatile. He had to do so many different roles. Of course, he's a great actor. There's no doubt. He also did incredible work in Some Like It Hot. But the point is that he plays about 8 different roles. In addition to was it Owen the dentist that he does as well. So let me start going through some of these pictures that you sent in, so people can see some of your earlier work. So this is obviously you singing, but I'm not quite sure who you're singing to or what you're singing about there, Michael.
This was a promotional picture when I played Judas in Salzburg in Austria.
Very nice. And again, that was a more modern setting, similar to what we tend to expect. And again, this looks like this is Greece, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Actually, Nadine, you take it.
This is Adam's Family.
Oh, it's Adam's Family. I'm looking at Wednesday now. Yeah, you're right.
And Michael and I, we got very lucky and we got to play Wednesday and Lucas as a couple. That was actually pretty exciting for us because we did that show on our 2nd wedding anniversary, and we got to get married as Wednesday and Lucas on stage on our anniversary. That was pretty special.
That is pretty interesting. Yes. The tie is something else. I don't know where to get.
There's a yellow theme in the show, so the Beinecas, who are the normal family, we all had yellow accents in our costumes.
I got you. Makes sense. Now this is again Judas and Jesus from the production you were talking about, and obviously you see yourself in the other person now. I guess you're doing the other part.
And if you look in the corner there, you will see Miss Nadine peeking in.
Yes. And she's saying, what in the world is going on there?
Exactly. And that's what I meant. This is so typical. It's like the one person is dressed white, the other person is dressed black. It's very modern. It's a pullover. So I'm very, very excited that we go back to like old fashioned costumes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is every time I look at you, I don't understand why you let the things you did get so out of hand.
All right.
So, and again, I don't remember whether or not Jesus is actually in Superstar or not, but it
depends. The song Superstar traditionally is when Jesus is carrying the cross they made him carry the cross himself to the site of the crucifixion. So traditionally he is carrying the cross while the crowd is mocking him, and Judas comes down or comes up as it may be, and sings Superstar to kind of poke fun at him, but to kind of ask the big questions.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, he's already committed the suicide in an earlier song, correct?
That's right. He's already dead.
So he's essentially coming back to this song, and from the sidelines, generally you might see Jesus or something, but he's coming in and he's saying, yes, these are big questions. Why did you do this then? Why did you do it later? And also, things are raised here. Now this is more from Tarzan, correct?
That's right. So this is the show I'm doing right now. And you can see me. I'm a swing, which means I cover multiple tracks in the show. I cover 3 different ensemble tracks, and I also play Turk. So Turk is the middle picture there, and I have 2 of my ensemble tracks above and below. I know that Turk and the other ape look somewhat similar, but yeah, there's Turk.
And this is
from
Is that from here? Is that Bat Out of Hell? Okay. Now I gotta ask you about Bat Out of Hell, because I think we have one more picture from Tarzan when I'll get to, but and that's this one, the 2 of you together. This was what it looks like an opening of some sort, right?
Yeah,
this
was
premiere
night. Yeah.
So tell me the story. I mean, you very suave shoes and suit there. I have to say for both of you, but you all look very, very coordinated with the green and everything going on.
We do our best. We do a lot of, sometimes, well, I say a lot. We have done many premieres together, so we've kind of got the hang of coordinating, or at least Nadine has taught me well. That's probably closer to the case.
So before we get into the other parts, let's go back to Bat Out of Hell. Tell me a little bit. I mean, Bat Out of Hell is a Meatloaf musical, is it not?
That's right. So it's the music of Jim Steinman, who has a massive hit musical in Germany already, which did briefly go to Broadway, called called Dance of the Vampires. And unfortunately, on Broadway, this was a massive flop. However, in Germany, it has been running for how long, Nadine?
Many years. I don't know, but we have some kind of weird taste, I think, sometimes when it comes to musical theater. Like, for example, Starlight Express did not do well on the West End, and I don't know how it did it come to America? Did
Of
it?
course, yeah.
It was on Broadway.
Brian Batt was in it on Broadway. Yes,
But
they all rode the roller skates. Yes,
yes, and
Yes.
it was not a big success. But in Germany, it's like playing for 30 years through at the same
wow,
theater. It like
really?
That's
people
right.
wild for it.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
if what city in Germany is it playing in? I'm
It's
assuming
in
is one.
Bochum, which is like it's like an hour away from Cologne.
Okay.
It's a little random. You wouldn't think Bochum is also a bit of a random city, but they really
go there.
they really like built up the stage and the theater just to house this musical. So the stage weaves through the audience and people skate through the audience. The trick skaters. It's a pretty incredible show actually to go watch.
They've been talking about bringing it back to Broadway, because it really is. And the problem, of course, is that, obviously anytime you put actors and roller skates together, it's a recipe for disaster. So,
Yes.
you're talking about possible
it's an expensive
injuries.
show.
Yeah. And it's not a cheap show. It's a big show. They've got a lot of
It's an expensive show also because you can't start at rehearsals. You have to start with several months of skate training first. Yes, and then of course there's the possibility of injury, definitely. Just like in Tarzan with all the bungee jumping that we do.
Yes. Well, I think it's a matter, and you can make things safe up to a point, but it's not a question of if with roller skates, it's when.
Yeah.
I think.
That's true. That's true.
Because no matter what happens, somebody left something out on stage accidentally, or the wheel gets caught in a crack in the stage or whatever, and you go flying. Those sorts of things happen all the time, and you pay the price. That's why we always say break a leg in showbiz, because you end up doing it a lot of times.
It's a great show, and it has great special effects, and the people do an amazing job. But you have to get over the fact that these are all trains singing to each other.
These are trains. These are not people. These are trains.
Yes,
you're correct. So a couple other photos that you had sent me. Obviously, this is ABBA. This is the tribute to them. Now, please tell me what this is. What is the name of the show?
The show is called Dancing Queen, the Big ABBA Concert, and it was a summer theater production. I'm going to do it again this summer.
It was a huge. Every show was completely sold out, and they're performing. You can't tell in the picture, but they're performing in front of a giant cathedral. Is the background there?
Like, it's a huge dome. It's a huge cathedral, and every night there were like 1,000 people watching. It was amazing. And this summer it will happen again. I'm super excited. I love the music of ABBA. I love to sing Agneta. And I love that we have original outfits. I mean, this is really one-on-one what they were wearing. This is crazy. This is.
You mean those were their real true costumes?
Yeah, I mean not. It's like a
based on it. Yeah,
like, it's a copy, but it's like really 100%. The costume designers, they did such a great job. They were really like trying to like copy it one-on-one, and it's amazing what they did, and it's so much fun, and everyone sings along. Everyone knows all the ABBA songs, which is
yes. I mean that's the funny thing about it is that on board a ship over this last holiday season, everybody is singing the songs. They know Dancing Queen and you name the songs. They gimme money, all the whole thing. So yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know if this is
this is Bat Out of Hell once more.
Okay.
So yeah.
So besides Paradise by the Dashboard Light, what are some of the other songs that is it based on the actual album Bat Out of Hell, or is it based on, you said, the songs of Jim Steinman?
Right. So Jim Steinman and Meatloaf collaborated on a concept album, which which was performed in New York, and it was based on Peter Pan.
That's
And
Peter Pan, really?
Yes, I
this
thought the same.
is
It's a good question.
this
I was like, all right, tell me about it.
this is Peter Pan. That was a very long time ago, and back in 2017, whenever it was, when Bat Out of Hell went to the West End, they said, let's take this concept musical, let's flesh it out, this concept album, and let's flesh it out. And so it's Romeo and Juliet combined with Peter Pan in post-apocalyptic New York. So we actually we were a group of teenagers who, okay, you're gonna have to follow me. This is kind of a wild ride, okay? It's a musical, folks. We were a group of teenagers who, in the nuclear war that happened at one point that had ended, life as we know it on Earth, who had been stuck in time at the age of 18. So this group of teenagers who never grow up. They are called the Lost. So you get the illusion there.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, they are at odds with this kind of real estate mogul who, in the aftermath, has been able to amass all of this wealth and power. And the leader of the Lost falls in love with the daughter of this evil man. And that's the basics of the story.
You didn't play in this one, right?
No, but I saw it 11 times. He's my husband, and every time there was an event, I had to see the show. And at the end of the day, I loved it. At the beginning, I was very confused. The second time, I was so confused.
I did play it for a year, so she had ample opportunity.
All right. Well, just it's a little bit weird, but okay, we'll go with it. Now, this is again Robin Hood, right? This is the first.
Yes.
This is backstage at Robin Hood, right?
Yes.
So now, I don't think you need to actually shoot arrows on stage correctly, right? I mean, they have that's sort of like done for you, correct?
Yes, it's like we had a special effect. I mean, to be honest, in the ensemble, like our outlaw positions, we very often just had the bow, and we would just like do this. And because it was like kind of in the dark, people wouldn't even see that an arrow was missing. During the rehearsals, I was like, really? We do not have an arrow? Is that not weird for the audience? But I think if you would ask the audience after they saw the show, they would say
the arrow was there. Yeah.
Right. There were arrows.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but Robin himself has some very cool trick bows, where there's a bit of string and it's connected to the string of the bow, and when he pulls it back, there's it's counterbalanced inside, so that there is a arrow point that flicks up, and it really gives an illusion that there is an arrow there. So, and when he fires it, it collapses in on itself. And then one will pop out of the wall. Yeah, so it's a very cool effect.
I think this is another ABBA picture. Let's see that. Yeah, there you are.
That's also original costume design from the Eurovision Song Contest, where ABBA won the
Waterloo, wasn't it Waterloo?
Exactly, it was 1974, and they won with Waterloo, and that's what like really made the career super big and started.
That was, I love that song. And then this is
Robin Hood. I am
Robin Hood again.
I'm Marian there, and that was our Robin.
Yeah, Robin Hood. The music of Robin Hood was written by a composer, but also by Chris de Burgh, who is a famous rock artist. He's UK based, and he wrote the song "Lady in Red" and a few other hits. He wrote a song called "Don't Pay the Ferryman," and I don't know if you're aware of that. It was one of his hits. "Don't Pay the Ferryman." And that song is in this musical.
True, in German though. But like his most successful song is probably "Lady in Red."
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Not that this song made it in the show. I'm wearing blue in the picture.
So I'm putting up a couple of things, banners, etc., that we can see. Several of the people who don't know about it, Jesus Christ Superstar is appearing March the 14th through the 25th. And again, I wanted to make mention of the fact that if you need to get tickets, and if I learn how to type, I can even do better than that. that's supposed to be colons. I think we can do it better than that. Let's try it now. Yay! So jpas.org. And again, if you want to see Jesus Christ Superstar, you can see it. And again, it's going to be playing March the 14th is opening. And it ends on March the 25th. And again, I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to see it. So make plans to see it. And if you need to get tickets, you can go there. Or as I said, you can try the phone number, which would be 504-885-2000. And so that will also go up there as well. So that's your phone number. If you're out of the country in Germany, you have to dial 011. Okay, keep in mind as well. So, believe it or not, we still have a couple of minutes left. Not many, though. But, it only takes a little bit of time to go for an hour on this show. And all of a sudden, was that an hour? Really? Yes.
True.
We'll have a lot of fun. So I'd like to, get back to Jesus Christ Superstar because obviously, part of the reason you're here is to do a little self-promotion. Again, Kenneth Beck is going to be the director. And I assume that Dennis Asaf will be the conductor. Am I correct in that?
Of course, the maestro himself.
The maestro himself. Okay, good. So, and again, have you ever worked with Dennis before? I know Nadine probably hasn't, but have you, Michael, when you were here in New Orleans, ever worked with Dennis?
Of course. Well, my first theater experiences were with JPAS Kids program. I came up through that program. I did Children of Eden. It was not the junior version. We did the full version. And I played Adam. So I started there, and I did shows there the entirety of my time in New Orleans, and I even came back at one point during my professional career because they needed the last minute tap dancer to come in and be a part of Funny Girl, and so I came in really quickly and helped them out with Funny Girl. But I've worked with Dennis many times. So we did Beauty and the Beast also there. That was a very special memory when we toured to was it Biloxi Grand Casino?
Or maybe Columbia. Was it the Columbia Theater too? Did you do that as well for JPAS? No, I don't remember. It was Biloxi only?
It was Biloxi only. It was the first year. I know they did that in subsequent years, but it was the first year that they did that big Beauty and the Beast production, which was very cool. Yes,
I remember that. And I think I also remember Funny Girl. I think the guy who played Nick actually proposed to the actor who played Fanny Bryce, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, at the end of the show.
A little bit of theater history there that was made behind the scenes, so to speak.
That's right.
And again, you are also, a living representation of finding love on stage. So that's kind of cool that you're going to bring that back. And so you essentially are a JPAS success story, somebody who started in New Orleans and now you are literally an international singing star of sorts, I guess you might say. I'm not going to say that you're a household name yet, but you're working on it. So that's perfect that you have the opportunity to work on it and be able to come back to New Orleans. Nadine, have you ever been to New Orleans?
Yes, I have been. When was it? 2019 in January. And I just remember I loved it. Everything's beautiful. And then we wanted to go in the evening into a club with your mom, and we wanted to drink a famous hurricane. And we went to the bar, and I forgot my passport, so we couldn't join. So this is definitely on my list to do this time.
But Nadine, please, let me just suggest something to you.
Yes.
Hurricanes are great in their own way. Okay, it's basically fruit juice with a lot of rum. That's all it is, and a cherry here and there. I suggest you have the official cocktail of New Orleans. You can't drink it with a straw. Okay, you can't knock it back over a period of a half an hour, but you can sip it. You can enjoy a Sazerac.
Sazerac, of course.
Sazerac is the official cocktail of New Orleans, and you need to sip it. And you need to ask them, if you taste it and you say, ooh, it's a little bitter, ask them to put a little bit more sugar in it, and then it'll go down much, much smoother. For the ladies, I've found that the more sugar that's in the drink, the better tasting it is to them, and the more palpable it is for everybody else. So just do me a favor, try it. You'll like it a lot. right.
I
So
will bring my passport.
all right. So I want to thank Nadine Moore for being with us on the show tonight. And again, you're going to be playing Mary Magdalene, Jesus Christ Superstar. We had again Michael Moore playing Jesus on the show as well. And again, I want to thank you, Michael, for taking the time out. We're going to again have to say goodbye to you two, but we will say hello to you not too more in the distant future. We're going to be able to see you on stage. And again, I want to remind everybody, March the 14th. Is when it opens. If you need tickets, that's the number to dial, 885-2000. And again, tickets can be had by going online on jpas.org. And again, I want to thank you all for being with me. I'm going to ask you to stick around for just a second while I say goodbye to everybody. Again, Nadine and Michael Moore, thank you for being with us. And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alan Smason. This is NOLA Theater Theater Talk, and we are on the Facebook group and also on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page and on my own YouTube channel. We want to thank you for being here tonight, and I will see you at the theater.